Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Negative Alpha Bravo. And this is 7 November Golf. Roger, request you check your Romeo side. I'll go ahead and check my Tango side. 7 November Golf out. And 8 Cloud, 7 November, say again. 7 November, go. I copied a while ago, 1 Charlie transmission that my can use and 8 5, this is 7 November, Charlie. That's fine, right now. Now 1 Charlie, 7 November, go.
This is 1 Charlie, reference to your last, you're Brandon, once you get into Fox 1200 between teams, that's local. Also request 3 units take inbound Nexus to see if we can try to get 59 and 8 for pause at the playground.
And this is 7 November, Roger, stand by.
Got that.
Got it? Alright. And all units, this is 7 November Golf. My unit Alpha, Echo, X-ray Alpha Alpha in there.
One Charlie, Alpha Bravo.
Hey, I never took a dip. I forgot to take a dip.
Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Whiskey 9, Yankee, 7 November Golf, over. This is Whiskey 9, go. Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Whiskey 9, Yankee, 7 November Golf, over. This is Whiskey 9, go. Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Negative Alpha Bravo. And this is 7 November Golf. Roger, request you check your Romeo side. I'll go ahead and check my Tango side. 7 November Golf out. 7 November 8 to 5. And 8 Cloud, 7 November, say again. 7 November, go.
All right. Good evening, everybody. If you can hear me and I sound normal, I don't sound weird, go ahead and let me know in the chat. I want to know I'm not talking to myself. What do we got? Nico says, yo, does that mean you can hear me? I don't know. Let me know. We already got a few questions. I'll definitely get to those. But before I do, I want to make sure my audio is good. All right. So we're good. You may ask yourself, hey, I thought there was supposed to be an accredited VSO on this live. You know what? I thought so too. We had planned it out for 7 p.m. I got the confirmation yesterday. I sent the county VSO. I believe he's in Michigan or Wisconsin, somewhere up there in the north. And I sent him the link. And he's not in here. So I have no idea if he's going to show up late. Maybe he thinks it's, what is that, Central Time? Hopefully not Mountain Time. And so if he shows up at 8, then that's what it was. If he never shows up, then shame. But, okay, I'll get to everyone's questions. Kevin says, where's the baby? The baby's upstairs. The mom's here tonight. And so she can go ahead and take care of that. If this county VSO does show up, we won't restart the stream or anything. We'll just roll right into it. And I'm happy to have him on. Hopefully he does. If not, whatever. It is what it is. Okay. Let's start with the first question. You guys know how this goes. We have LG, longtime fan of the show here. Thanks, brother, for tuning in and asking more questions. I appreciate that. He says, what's good? So I'm back at it to get the 100, as you should be, okay? If you believe you rate 100, don't stop. Continue to submit your evidence-based claims. That will get you there. Increases, secondaries, and make sure you didn't skip anything from what you were seen for while in the military. Okay, he says currently have plantar fasciitis. Deferred, if granted, will it be separate or combined? LG, separate or combined to what? I assume you mean another foot condition like pes planus, which would be flat feet. Or if you have an ankle condition. The only way it would be separate is if you had a foot condition, for instance, like flat feet, and you had an ankle condition that really decreased your range of motion. If this was my foot, that would be a range of motion. And so you could get 2 different ratings for that. If you're talking about flat feet and policeman's heel, those would be combined and the VA would accept the higher rating. But let me know what you mean when you say separate or combined. Combined with what? That's what I want to know. All right, moving on to Kevin Trotter. Hey, brother, welcome to the show. Thank you for asking about the baby earlier. Denied TDIU. Okay, that sucks. My VSO fired a higher level review. Currently at 90. Proposed reducing to 70 due to eye condition. Is HLR the right move? It's hard for me to answer that without looking at the evidence. HLR is a higher level review is going to review the same evidence in the claim. You're not able to submit new evidence. When you say your eye condition is going to be reduced, is that going to reduce your overall rating from 90 to 70? And if so, that definitely sucks because now you were hoping to get TDIU, you were at 90, and what that resulted in was a 70% overall rating. Probably the worst thing a VSO could do is file a claim for a veteran that actually results in the opposite effect, which is a reduction. That's why it's extremely important to have those big 3 checked off, right? The in-service events, current diagnosis, and the Nexus. And when it comes to reductions, that's another reason of why it's important to continue to seek healthcare, continue to go to healthcare, whether that's private or through the VA, so you kind of upkeep your medical evidence that way. But to answer this question, is HLR the right move? I would definitely need to know more information on that. And so please comment again, and we'll get back to that. Nico, what's up, dude? long time fan of the show here. All right, Howard Hamilton says, got an independent medical opinion that GAD, which is general anxiety disorder, with insomnia, sleep apnea, and tinnitus. Okay, so we have 4 diagnoses here. GAD and insomnia will be roped under the same tree. Are more likely than not to cause or worsen my diagnosis for migraines. Is this good or bad? Okay, I need to read that one again. Is GAD with insomnia, sleep apnea, and tinnitus more likely than not? All of those are definitely correlated to make your migraines worse. I'm assuming your migraines are already service connected. That's why it's kind of weird, right? Because how the sentence is worded is it assumes your migraines are service connected, so the secondaries don't matter. It's just the symptoms we're looking at. If it's not service connected, which is probably the case, I think it's good. It's weird that there are 4 things that the IMO is tying it to. Generally speaking, with migraines, the provider would follow the evidence. And so if your evidence suggested your insomnia was worsening your migraines, that would probably be the way to go. And then with the slight mention of, hey, this veteran also has these other service-connected disabilities, and these are known to cause migraines as well or worsen the symptoms of migraines. But when it comes to causation, the provider should have followed the evidence. If that makes sense, let me know, Howard. I definitely want to make sure we get a clear answer on that. Mr. Swoopy, sounds normal. Yep. Awesome. USMC Big B says, appreciate. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. All right, looking at the sound check chats now, loud and clear. Yep, awesome. Thank you. All right, Robert Ramirez says, when you are 100% PNT, do you have to fill out a form to get your DoD ID card to have access to base, or do they fill out the form for you? Thank you. They definitely don't fill it out for you. So whatever ID you want, whether that's through the VA or you want a DoD ID, you're going to have to be proactive in getting that ID. Your VA ID will get you on base if that's what you're looking for. So I would go the VA route. But sure, you could have multiple IDs if you want. But what you're wanting to do is just get on base, and a VA ID card will do that for you. Yep, baby's upstairs with the mama. She definitely got her today, which is, it's really, guys, it is really hard to stream and have the baby, especially whenever she starts fussing at the same time. All right, Storm Vet. So to give some, I haven't even read this question yet, but to give some backstory, guys, myself and Storm Vet have been going back and forth through email. We've had a one-on-one meeting, and his claims are in process. Some look good, some not so good, but we're working together. And so with that, let's go ahead and answer this question. So he got a call today. He was deferred for hypertension. Now he has a CMP exam. 3 times it's been deferred. Okay, that's pretty wild. I finally got 10% for TMJ, but my bruxism is worse. Is those two disabilities separate? Thanks. TMJ and bruxism, it's pretty common. The VA will rope those together. Bruxism is where you grind your teeth a lot. It depends on the symptoms. The only time the VA will separate disabilities is when they have separate symptoms. And so if your symptoms are the same for TMJ and bruxism, and they're very closely related, that's when you'll see the VA rope them under the same tree or pyramid those disabilities. The most common example of that is the mental health, right? Anxiety, depression, PTSD, insomnia, all those share the same symptoms, as well as TBI, where TBI can have different symptoms. Generally speaking, they are the same. And if the VA can distinguish those symptoms, then you'll get 2 separate ratings. Same thing applies with TMJ and bruxism. It depends what your symptoms are, and how the VA has documented those symptoms. B-Buck, what's up, guys? And so I'll go ahead and throw in a plug for B-Buck right now. Everyone should be tracking on the, let's not call it a contest, let's call it a drawing. On the drawing for a free independent medical opinion from Dr. Sharma. That would be for a mental health disability or anything connected to a mental health disability. And I want everyone to know right now that B-Buck 2030 is the anonymous veteran, not so anonymous anymore, but he's the veteran that felt obligated to give back to the community. And he's the one that made that donation to Dr. Sharma, and will be sponsoring a veteran to get a free Nexus letter. So B-Buck, thank you very much for that. The community appreciates that. I definitely look forward to that drawing. And if you want to know how to get in the drawing, go to my community tab. Also, I'm going to be making a video explaining everything about the drawing, how it's going to go down, the ins and outs of the drawing, so that way you have the best chances at being selected for that independent medical opinion. All right. Thank you, B-Buck. That's awesome of you. All right. Moving down to Benny DeMarble. I hope I said that right. All right. They say TDIU claim. VA sent me copies of 2192. I already sent in with a fully developed claim. What can I do to have VA use evidence I've already submitted? They're going to look at it. If you wanted to resubmit the evidence, what you could do is submit the evidence again through Quick Submit. I'll actually link that for you down here in the chat. Let me see, Quick Submit VA. All right, I'll go ahead and link that for you in the chat. But you could upload whatever evidence you want, even if the VA already has it, through Quick Submit, and it just helps the VA find the evidence faster. The whole evidence gathering stage, the more you help or assist on that, the better off you are. You do mention that you send in a fully developed claim, so there shouldn't really be anything else for that. And if the VA does identify something else, that will just get knocked down to a standard claim, which again, no harm, no foul. They're just going back to evidence gathering. That's all that means. Storm Vet, I will keep you in mind. Don't worry. I will be setting up new times for one-on-one meetings with veterans this week. I also work full-time, believe it or not. And so this week at work has been crazy along with the last 2 weeks. And so I'm doing my best to kind of keep up and be on top of things. But starting next week, once I figure out what my work schedule looks like, I'm definitely going to be adding more times to my calendar. And Storm Vet, you're going to be a part of that email chain, as well as a few other veterans that have reached out for one-on-one meetings. All right, Nico says, 3 weeks into waiting for my duty to assist error on my higher level review. Yeah, it seems like you're counting the days, counting the weeks, Nico. I hope it's soon for you. It's very hard to give an accurate estimate as to when that HLR will or when the VA will follow through on that duty to assist. So we'll see. I have my Starbucks, by the way. Okay. All right. USMC Big B says, I've had a CMP exam this past Tuesday. QTC, which is one of the 3D contracting companies the VA will use. I'm going to try to get all of these rated for you. I find that hard to believe, but maybe she was legit. Okay. USMC Big B. One, this is great news. Okay. I'll tell you this. That statement is a lot better than the opposite, where a CMP examiner tells you these probably aren't going to be service connected. That would be bad. And that has happened. I've heard veterans come out of CMP exams and claiming that the CMP examiner actually said that, which is insane to me. But in your case, the CMP examiner is saying that they're going to try to get these rated for you. All that means is that CMP examiner is going to write a positive Nexus statement. And so at a minimum, it sounds like you're going to get a at least as likely as not, or a more than likely, which is great news. I'm very hopeful. I know you've been through the appeals process. Guys, USMC Big B has been waiting a very long time, has been fighting the VA for his benefits for a long time, probably longer than most. And so knowing that and seeing this comment, man, is really, really, really good news. Arthur Perez, I'll come back up to you. How do you apply for SMCK? This is pretty easy. You can go on va.gov and simply submit a claim for ED or erectile dysfunction. And on the female side of the house, it would be FSAD, female sexual arousal disorder. And then the VA will go ahead. You'll have a CMP exam. They'll look at it. And it's pretty common that if you have medicine that causes ED, that the CMP examiner will just do a records review, and then it will be approved easy peasy, lemon squeezy, just like that. And so that's the easiest and fastest way. You could actually do that in the next 5 minutes if you wanted to. Keep the stream up, though. Okay? Keep the stream up. Open up a new tab. Go to va.gov. And go ahead and submit that claim. It would take you less than 5 minutes. Guys, everyone watching this, there's 46 viewers. Like and share the stream. I'm really trying to make the channel known throughout the community. It's really hard for me because I can't post videos every day. I work full time. I'm a husband, a dad of 3. And so I really rely on the community to push this information for me. And so if you would help me out, like, share the stream, do whatever you can. I'd really appreciate that. And I genuinely want to help the community. Okay. Just provide the best information I possibly can. Okay. Arthur Perez says, hello. What's up, dude? Have you heard of chronic fatigue syndrome secondary to PTSD? Thank you. Absolutely. You can do that. I don't want to, it's not a very common one, I would say, but there is definitely a connection there. Excuse me. In my experience, when it comes to chronic fatigue syndrome, I hate recommending a Nexus out the gate. Okay. But I want to know if you've claimed that before. Have you been denied? What does your evidence look like? Have you been diagnosed? And feel free to send me an email. Okay. I'll put my banner up here. Feel free to definitely send me an email though. And I can probably answer that more in depth. But the email is TheCivDiv@gmail.com. I also do one-on-one meetings for free. For anyone and everyone that shoots me an email, I'll send you my calendar link, and then we can go ahead and do that then. But I definitely need more information to answer that, to give you a solid answer for that. Yeah, LG. So LG has said one of the first comments about his flat feet. And so, yes, if it is 2 flat feet, those would be combined more than likely. And it's because the VA would have a hard time distinguishing the symptoms of the two. And yep, Kevin Trotter says 90 to 70. Absolutely, man. That's definitely a downer. That's not good. Okay. Mr. Yodi 07 says, got a denial for tinnitus, even though my job was moderate. Examiner states they can't speculate on etiology and is less than likely not service connected. Should I do a higher level review? You could. It wouldn't hurt. I will say the majority of HLRs end up agreeing with the previous decision. But you could, if you believe your evidence is there, absolutely. I will say this, just because your MOS was on the moderate list, it doesn't guarantee you tinnitus. So keep that in mind. Also, were you diagnosed? I want to know if you were diagnosed. Do you have a diagnosis and your MOS is on a moderate? That looks different than just not being diagnosed at all. And so let me know if you were diagnosed. If you were diagnosed, I think you have a better argument for your HLR, but it just depends. All right, Bamboo Pandolfi. Also, we just had about 20 people join the live stream. Guys, if you're wondering where this accredited VSO is, let me know when you find him. We had planned to be here at 7. He confirmed. I believe he's on Central Time, so maybe it's just a time difference thing. I don't know, but hopefully he shows up. All right, Bamboo Pandolfi says, thanks again, Clay, for the one-on-one. As always, great info. Hey, thanks for scheduling the one-on-one. Also, thanks for showing up. You'd be surprised how many people just miss their appointments or don't show up or don't even email me. Pretty annoying when that happens, especially because that takes a meeting slot from another veteran. So if you do schedule a one-on-one with me, I will help you out as best as I can. I just ask that you show up. Or if you have to cancel, let me know. Not a big deal. But Bamboo, I'm glad I could help. Thank you very much for that. Mr. Swoopy, what's up, Swoopy? Can you collect CRSC in addition to a 24-year retirement pay and VA disability? Yes, CRSC definitely comes into play. It just depends on what we're actually talking about. For that, I definitely want you to send me an email. I'm going to have to get back to you on that one at TheCivDiv@gmail.com. All right. Howard Hamilton. Service connected for all listed prior and seeking service connection for the migraines. Thanks. Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. This is in reference to a previous comment. Let me read this one again. And so you have an IMO stating that these 4 conditions cause migraines. Okay. knowing that, let's go ahead and look at your additional here. Your service connected for those 4, and you're not service connected for migraines. Yeah, so it goes back to what I said, right? It depends on what your evidence suggests. Do all those correlate and or cause migraines? There's definitely correlation there. I want to know what your evidence suggests. Let's say one of them was tinnitus. Let's say your evidence heavily suggested tinnitus was causing your migraines. Generally speaking, in the independent medical opinion, the provider would have stuck to migraines and really would have drove that home, saying tinnitus is causing the migraines. In addition to mentioning the other 3, saying, hey, this veteran is also service connected for these 3 conditions, and here are the studies that show that they cause and or worsen symptoms of migraines. I assume that's how your independent medical opinion is worded. If not, it's not the end of the world. But that's what I would have liked to see in that independent medical opinion. Just for everyone, for right now, on June 1st, Dr. Sharma will be back on the live. June 1st, 7 p.m. Eastern. Mark it down in your calendar. You can go to my live tab and click the notify me button so you don't forget. But he's going to make his second appearance on this live. The first time, that live was absolutely insane. And so you definitely don't want to miss that. You'll be able to ask a board-certified psychiatrist. That is an instructor at Johns Hopkins. Okay, he is the bee's knees on psychiatry and VA disability. So you definitely don't want to miss that. All right, Jessica Brown says, denied aid and attendance. Been in wheelchair and leg brace for over 20 years. Doctor added 5 secondaries to my application. I'm already IU PNT. Yeah, the secondaries are nice, good to have, but as you said, it doesn't really change anything. I want to know why you were denied aid and attendance specifically. And so definitely feel free, if you feel inclined, if you want to, shoot me an email, and I can take a closer look at your aid and attendance. Aid and attendance is one of those difficult SMCs, but they definitely have a large payout. All right. Monty, I literally had a HLR deny me, stating my issues can't be discovered in service. When I pointed out I was released with a duty-related illness. I am assuming they're mentioning the in-service event. I want to know, did you claim, did you say that on your exit exam? Did you have an exit exam? Were you seen for that disability, this diagnosis throughout service? What does that look like? That's pretty much what the VA is saying, that you're missing the in-service event, which is one of the big 3, right? Which is the in-service event, the current diagnosis, and the Nexus. Every single VA claim needs these 3 things. In fact, if you don't have these 3 things, you're going to be denied, and in your decision letter, it will tell you which of those you don't have. How many secondary conditions can you have for one condition? By Secret Sauce. Secret Sauce, theoretically speaking, an infinite amount of conditions could be connected to one primary or multiple secondaries. And so there is no number. The biggest factor you're going to want to look at is, are these conditions, do you have the evidence to show the connection? That's really the most difficult part. As far as the numerical amount, it could be infinite. You can have a secondary on a secondary on a secondary. You could have 100 secondaries to one primary service-connected condition. It just depends. All right. Frank Paulino says, have a CMP exam scheduled. Have a CMP exam scheduled, said, for general exam. What does that mean? FY. Oh, okay. So you're going to Gen Med. General medical practitioner, and so they're probably going to look at your knee, whatever. I'm assuming you claim, like your knees, your back, your shoulders, your wrist. A general medical appointment can do that. Depending on if you claimed any mental health disabilities, Gen Med could also cover some of those. Assuming it's not PTSD, because that one's a little different. and will involve the VA dictates who can complete a PTSD DBQ for that. All right, Jessica Brown says, my trick question from CP or from CMP doctor was, can I use a microwave? Oh, this is Jessica Brown on the Aiden Internist. Okay. My trick question was, can I use a microwave? She said, I'm in need of assistance, but not severe enough. Tired of the struggle. That is... I wish I was a fly on the wall during that appointment. That's insane to me. That is pretty crazy. You could... I don't really want to recommend an independent medical opinion for that without knowing the full evidence. But that's what my instinct tells me. That's what my gut tells me to do. So send me an email. I definitely want to look at the evidence before I suggest something of you paying more money into. Obviously, we don't want to do that. But, yeah. Okay. B-Buck says, can I upload a fully developed claim myself? Absolutely. If there was one purpose of this channel, it would be to inform and educate veterans on how to upload fully developed claims by themselves. And so what you would do is you go to va.gov and you file a claim for compensation. You'll get the intent to file, and then you can submit the claim right there. Through one of the prompts of submitting the claim is to upload evidence. And so you can choose a VA medical facility that you were seen at. You can also choose and/or a private healthcare facility that you were seen at. You'll have to have the contact information like the address, the provider, stuff like that. And you can also upload lay statements, which are both buddy letters and personal statements. And you can also use Quick Submit. If you just Google Quick Submit VA, click the first link, you'll see Access VA on there. That's where a veteran can upload evidence to your claim. And that could be anything. It could be an independent medical opinion, a DBQ, whatever you want to do. It could be a picture. Literally anything that you can upload would be considered associated with the claim. All right, Mr. Yodi. Also, can unspecified anxiety disorder be claimed under mental health? That's exactly what it is. It is mental health. I know you had said something earlier. I want to know if you have a mental health rating. Okay. Tinnitus from my job. Okay, yeah. Okay, so you were denied tinnitus, and you're asking if unspecified anxiety disorder can be claimed under mental health. That's exactly what it is. The VA would rope that under mental health. And so if you don't have a mental health rating, I would go with it, especially if you've been diagnosed, assuming you have the in-service event. And if you are rated for mental health, depending on what that rating is, I would only submit that claim if this diagnosis gives you or causes you to have more severe symptoms and would actually raise your disability rating. All right. Arthur Perez says, hello, have you heard of? All right, I answered that. But yes, absolutely. My instinct tells me you should probably look at getting a Nexus for that. It just depends what your evidence suggests. Stormvet says, you will need Starbucks if you help me to get my... Oh, yeah. Definitely kept me going. Had a busy day at work today. I needed some coffee. I like thick coffee, the sugar kind. I'm not a black coffee dude. All right. CIB guy says, what's the fastest way to add dependents? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Here's how you do it. You can do it within the next 10 minutes probably if you wanted to. You're going to want to go on to va.gov. You can search dependents up in the search box. The VA's navigation system is absolutely insane. Like, it's not user-friendly at all. So just search dependents in the search box, click that link, go to the prompts, and add your dependents, whether that's a spouse or a child. Put in the correct information, submit the claim. The VA will treat that like every other claim. I've seen dependents be approved in 10 days. I've seen dependents be approved 6 months down the road, but the intent to file date will still apply, and so you'll get back pay on your dependents. But that's the fastest way, just to do it yourself. Can you go to a VSO? Yes, but VSOs are busy. You'll have to set up an appointment. There's nothing wrong with that. You absolutely can go through a VSO, or you could do it yourself. Either way, doing it yourself is the fastest way. Don't see anything on how to donate to your channel. I'm trying though. I'm hoping this stream is monetized, because if not, so this is a new streaming platform for me. So I'm trying. I think it is. I think it is. Maybe. I don't know. It's a new streaming platform. I'm trying to get used to it. There should be a super chat function down at the bottom. But I never, this is so weird. I feel awkward. I never really solicit the donations on my channel. Everything I do is free. I try to do it free. And everything I do is based on being free. And so if you do donate, thank you very much. And we do have one, speaking of right now, Ruben says, $20 donation, brother. Thank you so much. He says, I am grateful for all your help so far. Today, I received an email from the VA. It said, in the coming days, you will receive a phone call from OptumServe for CMP exam. All right. And so give you a little backstory on Ruben. Ruben, thank you very much. I appreciate this, man, more than you could ever know. To give you a backstory on Ruben, he had left service, submitted he was late to the BDD claim, which is 180 to 90 days out. He missed that window, so we had to wait for him to leave service. We submitted his claims, and now he has a CMP exam. Okay, well, it's coming up, and so definitely keep me updated. I really like to stay accountable. So if I have helped you in the past, let me know. That lets me know that I'm doing things right. Sort of like a self-assessment on how I'm helping the community. But StormVet, thank you very much. You'll see the super chat option down below, or you can send me an email, and there's various ways to donate directly to the channel. All of this money goes back into the channel, okay? Paying for StreamYard, camera, lights, all that stuff. All of that goes back into the channel. All right. I appreciate it so much, Ruben. Thank you very much. The dude 357 says, what if I filed an ED claim, erectile dysfunction, years ago and was denied? Do I need to file supplemental or new claim? Absolutely. If you were ever denied for a claim, and if you ever want to claim that again, you're going to have to do an appeal, a supplemental appeal at that, or you can go to the board to do a supplemental appeal. When it comes to supplemental, you're going to have to provide new and relevant evidence according to the VA. That evidence could be as weak as a personal statement, or you have new medications, you've been seen by a psychiatrist, a psychologist, you talked about your ED before. You could do that. Side note, I would figure out the dude, get your decision letter for your denial, look at exactly why you were denied, and you're going to want your evidence to combat that denial decision directly. And so if you were denied because you don't have a diagnosis, you come over here, you get a diagnosis, you submit that to combat that directly, and that's a supplemental claim. That's how you win supplemental claims. If you just upload new and relevant evidence that doesn't combat the decision, you're probably just going to get the same decision. All right. F0 buff nipple. Yeah. I can't believe I just read that. Okay, whatever. They're active duty. Hey, what's up? All right. Do I need to have physical diagnosis for physical issues, or can I claim them without diagnosis from physical therapists? Thank you so much. Okay. So first, physical therapists can't really diagnose you. They're not medical doctors. you're going to want a actual doctor, someone who went to med school to give you that diagnosis. To answer the meat of your question, though, you being in the military and complaining to medical that your knees hurt or your back hurts, whatever it is, that right there serves as the in-service event. If you're in physical therapy, there's probably a diagnosis linked in there somewhere because now you have a treatment plan, and all that is medical evidence. So just by you having a conversation with that doctor and being put on a treatment plan, you are ahead of the game. And so you have the in-service event. Once you leave active duty, you're going to have to get a current diagnosis. The CMP examiner will do that once you make that claim. And then they're going to look at the in-service event. They're going to look at the diagnosis, the severity of your symptoms, and the CMP examiner will go ahead and provide you that Nexus statement. Now, I'll tell you this, because you're active duty, and listen to me, do not wait to file your disability claims. You can ask every single veteran in this chat who's not active duty that if they could go back in time, they would have went to medical while they were in, and they would have filed the second they got out. In your case, you have the BDD claims process. Check my channel on what BDD claims are. They're for you, active duty. And so don't miss that window. You would really be punching yourself in the face if you don't submit a BDD claim and you're active duty. All right. TKG says, or Jay, let me take a swig of my Starbucks. Man, my Starbucks, I go full white girl, white mocha, no shame at all. Okay. If you're going to get Starbucks, just go all the way. All right. TKJ says, new diagnosis of DDD. I'm assuming that's degenerative disc disease and IVDS, so vertebrae stuff of the back. Although your condition had worsened, noted that the worsening is new and unrelated to your service-connected mechanical lower back pain. Denied increase. How can I get that service-connected? So are you service-connected for lumbar strain? Because if you are, those would be roped together unless it's your cervical, your upper back, okay? It sounds like you are rated for your lumbar strain, and in that case, you could just submit an increase if your symptoms had worsened. And it says, although your condition had worsened, noted that the worsening is new and unrelated to your service-connected. TKJ, send me an email. I definitely want to look at that decision letter. I want to ask you a few more questions on that. But based off of this, it sounds like an increase is warranted, depending on what your rating for your lumbar strain is, assuming you're rated for your lumbar strain as well. Arthur Perez says he'll be reaching out. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do. If no one comes to the live and asks questions, there wouldn't be a live. Plus, I'd feel very useless. Okay, so I appreciate everyone coming to the live, putting your questions in the chat, putting your personal information in the chat. I appreciate that more than you know. Yeah, Mr. Yodi. So you have a diagnosis for tinnitus. Earlier, he had said something about the higher low review. I think it's warranted. Okay, it's at least worth a shot. I would like to see that. I would like to see that decision letter and why you're denied. It just depends. All right, TKJ. Oh, okay. We got more. All right. Let me read this again. How can get service connected? Continued. The CMP examiner found during the exam. It's weird because was the increase denied or did you claim new conditions? See, that's weird. I do think an increase is warranted because regardless of what caused the symptoms to be worsened, the symptoms are still worse, okay? So I definitely want you to email me. I want to see the decision letter on that. And it sounds like you just submit for the increase and call it a day. But I also want to know what your rating for your lower back is as well. Yeah, Mr. Soupy says, thanks. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Nola says, I'm 100% P&T, TDIU, denied Social Security. What's the best route to approval? NOLA, when it comes to Social Security, that is completely outside of my wheelhouse. Just like there are people on YouTube who make videos on VA disability, there are the same for Social Security. Being P&T, you have an expedited process. Okay, now what does that mean? To be honest with you, it's Social Security. It probably doesn't mean anything. But that is a completely different house that if I gave you advice for, it would probably be bad advice. So I would reach out to someone who specializes in Social Security. And to be clear, I would not reach out to a veteran. I would go directly to someone who is all up in Social Security. Yep. Thank you for that. I love seeing veterans answer other veterans' questions. It makes everything flow a lot easier, especially when the information is correct. Reuven, again, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that. Howard Hamilton, got it. The pray hand, thank you. Got it. I got you. Okay. Yep. Awesome. Let's go to Dallas Stringer here. Dallas Stringer. Good evening. What's up? I want to say thank you for all the advice so far. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I was just diagnosed with PTSD and major depression through the VA. How long would you recommend me filing a claim for these? Okay. You have one of three, right? So you need an in-service event, which is what are your medical records from service like your service treatment records? Do you have a deployment? Is there some sort of stressor that occurred in the military? Okay, I'm assuming there was, since you do have PTSD. If that's the case, that's the in-service event. Then you need a current diagnosis, which you just got, and now you need the Nexus. And so in your case, there's still a few more questions I would like to ask, like how long have you been out of the military? What are your other service-connected disabilities? What are your denials? Those are things I definitely want to know. But with the information I have here, I would recommend you submit the claim. Okay, it doesn't sound like you need an independent medical opinion. I definitely wouldn't recommend you one unless you've been denied multiple times. Then I might consider it. But based off of this, I'd submit the claim today. Okay, you can go to va.gov, submit the claim, easy peasy. It sounds like a direct claim. But let me know more information on that, Dallas. You can comment below again, or you can send me an email at TheCivDiv@gmail.com. Mike Lewis, what's up? He says, claimed right knee pain during exit exam in 1986. Woo, boy, that was before I was born. All right. Did not have a diagnosis and was not service connected. I refile it now. Do I need a Nexus for it? Okay, you have the in-service event, which is good. That's definitely not bad. The in-service event is weak as it's just an exit exam, but it's something. Okay, it's better than nothing. You didn't have a diagnosis and was not service connected. I want to know if you have a diagnosis now. I'm assuming you do. Okay. If you don't have a diagnosis, you're going to have to get that first. 3, the Nexus. The only way a medical doctor can connect that, in my opinion, is you're going to have to show chronic and continuous, which again is another thing the VA is going to look at to use to deny your claim. And so everyone, VSOs, for-profit companies, claims agents, attorneys, and the VA are all tracking on the big 3. In-service event, the current diagnosis, and the Nexus. There's also a 4th one called chronic and continuous, where in cases like yours, you've been out since 1986, which is a long time ago. And so now the VA can say, hey, although you have this in-service event and you have a current diagnosis, when it comes to the Nexus, your evidence fails to show that this disability is chronic and continuous. It's the VA saying, hey, we recognize that you have this diagnosis, but it's not service connected. And so I want to know what your evidence is the last 30 years prior to submitting that claim. Do you need a Nexus? I mean, how bad is your knee? Generally speaking, most knees are only 10%. And I don't think a Nexus letter is worth that, depending on what your rating is. But 9 times out of 10, it's probably not going to be worth it. I wouldn't jump to a Nexus, that's for sure. I would really look at your evidence. Feel free to email me. I'll put my banner up here. Feel free to email me, okay? And I definitely want to know. I definitely want to know your evidence before really, really giving you advice. TheCivDiv@gmail.com. I do one-on-one meetings for free, okay? That's what it is. That's what it is. All right. Okay, I just realized that we do have some super chats. Okay, we have a few. This new streaming platform doesn't show them as they come up, which means I'm going to have to figure out another way to actually do this. All right, let me pull this stream up on my phone so I can see when someone super chats. Because I think if you do donate, I should be answering your question right then and there. The stream or the platform I'm using just didn't pull it up, so I do apologize for that. Paul King with the $10 super sticker. High five to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. More than you know, man. All proceeds, if you will, go right back to the channel. I definitely appreciate that. All right, Mr. Yodi says, I got denied. I got denied for PTSD, but the CMP examiner gave a diagnosis of unspecified anxiety disorder, but no rating or service connection. Tinnitus diagnosis was given, but not service connected. Yeah, Mr. Yodi. So in your case, you have the diagnosis, but it's not service connected. So I want to know what your in-service event looks like. Okay. And obviously it had a unfavorable opinion on that. So I want to know, what is your evidence from service? What are your major deployments? When did you leave the military? What does that look like to you? I definitely want you to send me an email because I have tons of questions on why this wasn't service connected, so I can actually give you a solid answer on that. And last donation is, thanks for what you do. I had my appointment with Dr. Sharma this week, and he was outstanding. Hey, Keith, I'm glad that he helped. He helped you. I will say this. Tons of veterans have reached out to Dr. Sharma, and tons of veterans has had positive results on their fully developed claims. One of those claims, I won't say who it is, but one of those claims, this veteran submitted a Nexus letter from Dr. Sharma for mental health. They filed it on March 30th. Okay, March 30th, which was 14 days ago. Okay, and they received their decision on April 6th. So it took the VA 7 days to go from nothing to service-connected mental health disability direct with Dr. Sharma's Nexus. And if you ever see an independent medical opinion and the veteran's evidence go to the VA through the decision-making process without a CMP exam, that is a good indicator that independent medical opinion was dang good, okay? I actually just made a video on that Nexus letter specifically. If you want to see that, I'll go ahead and link that in the chat for you. So that way you can actually see the Nexus itself. Let me go ahead and do that. I'll put it in the chat and you can watch that later on. All right. All right. Cut the Corner says, is Nexus letter needed for direct service connection when a private DPQ is provided? This is a perfect question at a perfect time. Also, it looks like the public DPQ does not have the option for service connection rationale. So, you know what? This is a great time for me to actually pull this up. Let's do this. I'll do this. I'll do this on stream for you, and I'll show everyone what he's actually talking about. Let's do window here. We want to share this window. Pull it up. All right, boom. And so he says, is the Nexus letter... Let's answer the second part first. Also, it looks like the public DBQ does not have the option for service connection rationale. And so what he's talking about are the DBQs. I spelled that horrendously. DBQ VA. Go ahead and click the Public Disability Benefits Questionnaire link. We're just going to use mental health. I'm very familiar with that one. All of these look very similar. Let's go to mental disorders. All right, pull this bad boy up. And so here, this is a DBQ. Okay, I'll also link a video going over this in detail. That video is actually on Del K. Graham's YouTube page. They are an accredited VSO that I create content for. But to answer your question, in the remarks section here, in a perfect world, the provider would describe the in-service event, and that would look like medical evidence, right? Medical evidence, STRs, etc. They would also describe the current diagnoses. And they would also put their Nexus statement in here, which would be at least as likely, right? More than likely. And then we'll just put due to on here. If it is one of these two, obviously you would take this DBQ and put it in the shredder. And so we're not going to submit a DBQ that has negative. And so in the remarks section, this is what I want to see from a provider that's actually doing a DBQ. So I hope that answers the second part of your question, is put it in the remarks section. As for your first, is Nexus letter needed for direct service connection? No, it's not. Absolutely. A Nexus letter isn't needed for any disability claims at all, regardless of what they are. Do they help? Absolutely. Okay. Especially if it comes from a medical doctor and not a practitioner. Medical doctors' Nexus letters carry weight. It's not needed, but they definitely help. And a DBQ is, in my opinion, I would say a DBQ is better, but most providers give both. And so the answer to that question is no, especially if you have a private DBQ. Next Level Cash, longtime fan of the show. I appreciate it. When I say long time, it's funny because this channel is less than a year old. And so thank you, brother, for coming out to another live. I definitely appreciate that. All right. OBX SOCOM says, question, please. All right, brother, just ask the question. I will. Oh, I see you asked one below. I will go back up to you, Mr. Swoopy, in a second. All right. I have it. I had a CMP exam this morning. Or I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm reading. You have one coming up on Monday for lower extremity radiculopathy and for an increase to lower back. Okay. Those are definitely connected. I didn't request a HLR because I'm service connected lower back. Are they fishing? I have no idea what you're talking about, to be honest with you. An HLR is an appeal, meaning you would have had to file an HLR. The VA just isn't going to do an HLR just because. I'm going to try and figure out what you're asking me. You have back service connected at 40%, and now they're looking at radiculopathy. It could have been You know what? I'll do this again. Oh, let's look at this. I'll do this again. All right. Let's go back to, I'm going to show you my thought process on that. Musculoskeletal, back, thoracolumbar spine. And so here, maybe what you're asking is the VA sent you to another CMP exam for radiculopathy. And the reason for that is because in the back DBQ, range of motion, we'll get to it. Functional limitation, muscle strength, sensory exam. All right, this is when we get into some nerves, leg raise tasting, radiculopathy. And so if the VA saw that the CMP examiner didn't complete this, or you submitted the claim for radiculopathy secondary to lower back, this is exactly what they're gonna submit. Okay, and so you're looking at section, what is that, 8? Can't really read Roman numerals. But that's what they're gonna look at. Here's what they're gonna ask you. Pretty much what that is going to look like is they're gonna take one of those rubber mallets. They're going to, this is your knee right here. They're gonna your knee and see if you flex or not, right? Like, and if you don't, then you probably have nerve damage stemming from the sciatic nerve. Okay. Oftentimes you'll see a sciatica claim or radiculopathy claim or just nerve damage. They're all the same thing, at least in your legs. Okay. There's nerve damage in your arms as well. All right. Let's go back up to Mr. Swoopy. Okay. Mr. Swoopy says, for those on active duty, your CMP DBQs will be on the turn. Yep, on the TRICARE portal. Yeah, so if you're active duty and you're going through the BDD claim process, you'll be able to see your results of your CMP on the TRICARE portal, which is definitely solid. Us veterans don't have that privilege. You're going to have to go through a VSO or a claims agent, someone that has VBMS access to see your results in a fast manner. We have another donation, Ronald Beard, $10 donation, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All donations go back into the channel. It helps me run the channel. Okay, my wife would not be happy if I continue to spend the monies on the YouTubes. Okay, so I appreciate that very much. All right. He says, "Oh, I see your question. How does the sticker purchase work?" Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I didn't ask for an increase. Yeah, so if you didn't ask for an increase, it's not that they're fishing. The CMP examiner probably just skipped radiculopathy, especially if you have a 40% rating. Your x-rays probably show some sciatic nerve damage. And honestly, this is a win. This is the VA saying, hey, CMP examiner, you suck. Okay, that's basically what happened here, which is good. Generally speaking, radiculopathy ratings are either 10 or 20% for each leg. And so a lot of, like, I have 20% ratings for each of my legs for radiculopathy. And so you could have that 40% rating turn into 2 other 20% ratings, which is good. So you have a 40, a 20, and a 20. All right, Seymour Breezy. I like that name. Seymour Breezy says, okay, we have all right. You see all these chats he did, guys? I'm gonna have to read these. So that way I can give the best advice. But let's do it. Put me to the test. I want to do this. At 91%. All right. This is good news. 4 more percent and you're there. Okay. 10% for lower back. Just had latest VA appointment for established radiculopathy. They added it under assessments. Okay. L-spine, radiculopathy management, gabapentin. Okay. I'm on this one now. Thoracic spine, that big word, none findings, AP lateral. I'm assuming you copy pasted this. Swimmer's views, 12 thoracic. Okay. Appears normal. All right. So they're saying your upper back looks normal. Vertebrae body heights are maintained. Okay. So you're not condensed. All right. Disc spaces are maintained. None of that are intact. Visualized adjacent ribs are normal. Okay. They're basically saying you're not compressed this way. Okay. This is your feet. This is your head. That's what they're saying. Identified impression, negative, lumbar sacral spine, radiograph comparison, January 3rd. Okay. We got more, guys. Don't worry. 5 non-rib present. Okay. Oh, well, let me see that. Nope. Joints are mild. Okay. Is there a question in here, brother? Did I miss something? Let me go back up. All right. it sounds like you had an appointment for your back. You're trying to establish radiculopathy. It would depend on your x-rays. I didn't see anything that said sciatica specifically. That's what you're going to want to look for unless I skipped over it. You have mild degenerative disc disease. That definitely correlates to sciatic nerve damage. You have lumbar strain. And so if your legs do go numb and they tingle, you have those symptoms, you probably have it and the VA can connect it right then and there. Okay, that was a lot to take in. But I hope I answered your question. Let me know. And I want to know if I helped you. All right. OBX-SOCOM, I've seen 6 doctors had MRIs done and EMG stating I have radiculopathy. While I filed the radiculopathy claim, the VA asked for my increase. I didn't. Okay, yeah. This is good news to me, it looks like. Looks like the VA has recognized your radiculopathy. They want to make sure, so they're basically the VA's duty to assist kicked in. They realized an error was made because radiculopathy wasn't looked at, and so they're going to go ahead and put that in for you. Tomorrow I'm going to my CMP exam for mental health. Orlando, I hope you're still on this live. I'm going to go through this one by one for you, okay? This is the best advice anyone can give you, and I'm going to show you how to do it sharing my screen. So tomorrow I'm going for my CMP exam for mental health, lumbar, legs, and migraines. Here's what I recommend you do, all right? And you can play this back, play this live back so that way you can see exactly what's going on. But let's look at mental health first. Let's go to the Googles, all right? We're going to Google mental health 38 CFR eCFR. If you watched any of my videos, you know that this is how we do business here, okay? Scroll down just a bit. You're going to see the general rating formula for mental health disorders. I want you to read this starting at 0, okay? And if you check this box, then you move up to 10. And if you have these symptoms, then I want you to move up to 30. And you keep going until you reach, let's say you have 50, you look at 70% and you're like, hey, my symptoms aren't that severe. Okay, perfect. What I want you to do is go back down to what you believe you fall into. Read it again and again until it sticks in your brain and understand what you're actually going through. This is how the VA rates mental health. What you could also do, okay, what you could also do is go back to the Googles, put up search DBQ VA. All right, you're going to click this link right here, Public Disability Benefits Questionnaires. And we're going to scroll down to mental disorders because we're talking about mental health here. You're going to pull this bad boy up. And here is exactly what the VA is going to ask you, okay? This section here is the diagnosis. We're looking at occupational and social impairment. And so if you read these closely, all right, you're going to find that it matches the verbiage on here. So total occupational and social impairment. Look at this. Total occupational and social impairment. And you can just keep scrolling down. It talks about TBI, it talks about pre-military, during military, post-military. And here are your symptoms, okay? And whichever symptoms you hit, the examiner will pretty much check the box. And that's how that appointment's going to go. You would do that for all of your disabilities. So let's go. I'll do lumbar, and then I'll kind of lead you to that, okay? Let's go back to the Googles here. Let's look at lumbar strain 38 CFR eCFR. Do the same thing, musculoskeletal system. Now, this one is massive. And so what you're going to want to do is just word search lumbar. And you can see everywhere of how the VA rates lumbar strain. So general rating for diseases and injuries of the spine. And so here's ankylosis. That's just a fancy word for the loss of use. Okay. And now we have forward flexion. And so how the VA rates lumbar strain. Generally speaking, it's based off of pain and how far you can bend forward and how far you can bend backward. And guess what? They even have some charts down here if you scroll down just a little bit. So there's the neck, cervical spine. Here's thoracolumbar spine. So how far can you bend forward? How far can you bend backward? How far can you bend side to side, right? And then how far can you rotate? All of those degrees will be taken into account. The examiner will give their opinion and their findings to the VA. And then from there, the VA rater will make the decision. And same thing here, right? Go back to the Googles. Look up DBQ VA. Click that link. We're going to find musculoskeletal. We're going to find the back because that's what you're claiming. And here is the DBQ for your back condition. And there's tons of information on here. Diagnosis. There's tons of diagnoses with your back. Okay. Medical history. They're going to look at your range of motion. So again, how far can you bend forward, backward, side to side, rotate? More range of motion and functional limitation. Keep on scrolling down. There's more range of motion and functional limitation. It's going to go in depth. I'm looking for strength testing. Okay. I'm looking at some more strength, reflex exam, sensory exam. And so now we're getting to the nerves of radiculopathy. And so the sciatic nerve, if that's damaged, that will be recorded. More on radiculopathy, more on ankylosis, if it's the loss of use, depending on how severe your back condition is. And that's what the VA is going to do. Okay. All right. Hopefully that answered your question. Mr. Yodi says, was deployed for Southwest Asia for 8 months. Yeah. If an event happened on that eighth month deployment, I'm assuming this is talking about PTSD, your PTSD comment, you could claim that. Okay. My radiculopathy is so bad the VA prescribed me a motorized scooter. Hey, 1, that's pretty cool. You got a scooter. All right. 2, it sucks that you actually need it. But this is good news. I think that claim is going to be very favorable and pretty high rating. So you may be above the 20% rating. I have let me actually go to my YouTube here. I'm going to link a video for you. I actually want you to watch because it goes in detail on how the VA rates radiculopathy, because there's different types of nerve damage, like there's paralysis, there's neuralgia, and another one that I forgot. Sleep apnea, shoulder pain, foot pain, radiculopathy. Here it is. All right. Thank you very much for that. All right. Go ahead and check that short out. It's less than a minute long. It's going to be beneficial. All right. Intent to file is in place. Not rated for radiculopathy. How should I go about for an increase of back and second for radiculopathy? Yeah. Pretty simple, Seymour. I would recommend you go on va.gov. It's just faster that way. You have the evidence as you share with us. I appreciate that, by the way. Simply just log into va.gov, submit the increase for the lower back, and submit a secondary claim for radiculopathy and call it a day. You can do that in about 10 minutes. Or you can go through a VSO. They'll do it for you, but you'll have to set up an appointment depending on where you're at, how busy that VSO is. You might be waiting, but you have the intent to file date already, so it doesn't really matter. My suggestion, though, would be to do it yourself. Ronald Beard said, is there any way to register my wife for Camp Lejeune water examination? She was with me on base. I want to get her on record just for possible health issues later. So that's outside the VA, actually. I would, in this case, okay, I would highly recommend if your spouse is experiencing symptoms or has been diagnosed, I would 100% get a lawyer. Okay, absolutely. I would lawyer up and go that route and take their advice. That's definitely outside of my wheelhouse when it comes to that specifically. But I know if I were you and my spouse had those symptoms and the diagnosis, that's exactly what I would do. All right. Guys, like and share the stream, okay? I'll be ending it here soon once we get through to the bottom of these questions. Felipe Rodriguez says, I'm currently 10% tinnitus. I have all my diagnoses, journal, Nexus, work statement, medication for migraines, and I've been diagnosed with anxiety, DBQ for anxiety, more than 10 visits, all right? More than 10 visits with a psychologist, but no medical records for review for Nexus, doing secondary tinnitus thoughts. I think you have at least an argument, okay? I have my records of divorce, of rest records I submitted, and IBS as well, diagnosed, and Nexus letter for that. Okay, it sounds good. You definitely have an argument. So I would submit the claim, the secondary claim for tinnitus. I would go migraines, mental health, and IBS secondary to mental health. It says you have a Nexus. I want to know who wrote that Nexus for you. Okay, and if it's a good Nexus, I definitely want to see that. But regardless, submit the claim. Worst case scenario, you're denied. That would actually suck. But if that happens, I would probably look. Well, I would look at the reason for denial in the first place, and then we can go from there. But for right now, I would submit the claim. Ronald, thank you so much, especially for your super sticker. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Next Level Cash says, thanks for doing this so consistently. Hey, thanks for showing up consistently. I appreciate it. My next live is actually in 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to that. And then on June 1st is when Dr. Sharma will be back on the stream, back on live. And so you definitely want to take a look at what he has to say. The Finesse King says, I'm TDIU. How to let VA know I'm in a protective work environment. I'm assuming you mean you're making more than the poverty limit, which is like, what is it, 14.5, 13.5, something like that. I would call, in your case, I have tons of questions on what we're actually talking about here, but I would just call the VA directly, okay? Let them know your situation and ask them, and they'll point you in the right direction. Mogomo says, how do I know when I've had enough medical evidence for a claim? When you have it, okay? There's 3 things you need: the in-service event, the current diagnosis, and the Nexus. In a perfect world, you have evidence from both the military, your service treatment records, and from being a veteran. I'm assuming you've been out of the military for some time, because you're going to want to show that chronic and continuous. And so ideally, that's what you want. But there's really no good answer to this question. How do I know when I have enough medical evidence for a claim? It's hard to tell. All right. Mr. Yodi says, I sent letters to email. Yep, I'll definitely check that. I'll get on that. OBX, thank you for the support. Thank you for your support. TKJ says he also emailed me. All right, awesome. We'll make this our last question, and then I'll go ahead and end the stream. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I appreciate it, especially to those who donated. Thank you very much. All right. How likely can I claim sleep apnea secondary to PTSD? Oh, man. Okay. Tons of factors. So PTSD does not cause sleep apnea. I don't care what Reddit says. I don't care what Facebook says, okay? I see you has a diagnosis. PTSD does not cause sleep apnea. It correlates, absolutely. Many things correlate to sleep apnea. I want to know what your other evidence suggests, okay? So you have PTSD. You've been diagnosed with sleep apnea. What else are you service connected for? Are you service connected for hypertension? What are your deployments like? Do you have deployments to the Middle East where particles in the air you breathe have been correlated to cause sleep apnea? Okay. The more things that correlate to sleep apnea, the better. What you'll see an independent medical opinion look like for that is the provider will say PTSD is more than likely the cause. And then under that, they'll list correlations. And so you have deployments to Iraq, all right? And so multiple deployments to Iraq, breathing in those particles, that would correlate sleep apnea to PTSD along with your other service-connected disabilities. And I tell you right now, it's not an easy one. It's not a hard one. It's more like a coin flip. For you, personally, what I would do is I would reach out to Dr. Sharma. I'm going to go ahead and throw his email in the chat. Okay, he'll give you a free consult and ask you if it's worth it or not. But that's his email. You can send him an email. Explore that if you want. I'm assuming you have a CPAP machine, which is 50%, so that would make it worth it. Okay, so I would at least explore that a little bit. All right. Should I ask for supplemental appeal back to last award? I would need, okay, Seymour, I would need you to email me at thecivdiv@gmail.com because to argue an effective date, I'm gonna have to at least look at the decision, look at your previous decisions if you were denied, and then look at your other intent to files, your other claims. There's just a ton of questions I have before I can actually even give you an answer. And is it worth it? Tyler Tickle. You're funny, dude. Okay. That's a funny name. All right. How long do BDD claims typically take? Or how long till you at least find out the percentage? And is it truly faster than filing? Yes, it is faster. If you're active duty and you don't file a BDD claim, that's not good. Okay. The VA is giving you an advantage and you're basically not taking it. So how long do they take? Typically, what's supposed to happen is you leave. I think you're in the Marine Corps, it looks like. I can barely see your picture there. You would leave service on one day, and the very next day, your BDD claim would be finalized, and now you can go from a DoD paycheck to a VA paycheck. That's the purpose of the BDD claims. Does that always happen? No. It depends on how many things you claimed and the VA's duty to assist. So if you claimed, 20, 30, 40 different claims, and some of those you don't have evidence for, but it's the VA is, they give you a CMP exam for those, that would take a while. And so it really depends. Oh, you're Army. Sorry about that. Okay. It really depends on what you claim and your evidence for those claims. But to answer your question, yes, it's definitely worth it. It's definitely faster. And the point of it is to get it the next day you leave service. I've seen BDD claims be awarded the next day. I've also seen BDD claims be awarded in 3 months. I'll tell you this, if you don't do a BDD claim and you wait till after you leave service, it's probably going to be 4 to 6 months until you get an answer anyways. And so you're already ahead of the game. About 17 claims for evidence and almost all claims, multiple high value claims. Yeah. So one, it sounds like you're ahead of the game. That's good. What sucks for you is I know you're planning on transitioning and you're going to be counting on that disability. I will say for planning purposes, assume you're not going to get a decision until 3 months out. Okay. I think that would be a safe assumption. And if it comes earlier than that, that's great. But for planning purposes, you got 5 months. Yeah. Oh, you have 5 months. So then you just submitted your BDD claim, I assume. I hope so. I hope you submitted it at your 6 month mark. If that's the case, I wouldn't even worry about it, man. You're ahead of the game. Let me know if you actually submitted that claim. That's what I want to know. Secret Sauce, we have a donation. Awesome. Okay, thank you so much. Secret Sauce says, love what you're doing. Thank you. I appreciate that. Anyways, how would I prove severe economic inadaptability for migraines secondary to depression? Okay, solid question. And so how you would prove that is a very good technique to do is to get a lay statement or a buddy letter. That's VA form 10210, okay, 21-10210, from like a supervisor describing how many sick days you've taken, and if you experience a migraine at work, what are symptoms that they observe while you're at work and you have to go home? What does that look like? That is a very good way to show economic instability, according to 38 CFR. All right. I want to show everyone what he's actually talking about here, because migraines is a very common claim. So let's look at 38 migraines, 38 CFR, ECFR. We'll go ahead and look at this. Migraine. Yep. And here we go. And so he's referring to severe economic inadaptability. Okay. And so knowing 38 CFR, see, this is why I love you, Secret Sauce, because that tells me you understand 38 CFR. You understand that, you know that's what you have to prove. And so I would do that with a supervisory statement. If you have anything that shows how many sick days you've taken, you could upload that with your claim. And that's what that would look like. But that's a great question. Yep, so all your appointments are complete as of today. If all your appointments are complete, I would expect you, and you have 5 months left, I would actually expect it to be within the month of getting out. You're one of the very few service members that actually take advantage of BDD claims. So good on you for that. You're ahead of the game. Let me know what decision you get after you leave service. And if you are not 100% P&T, but you believe you rate that, the channel's here. I'll be here for you in 5 months. All right. Lucas says, is age taken into account when applying for P&T status? Not P&T, okay? Age is not, let me say this. Age is not supposed to be taken into account when it comes to TDIU, which is unemployability, okay? But as John Fody had a stream previous with an accredited VSO out of Oklahoma, the Del K. Graham Veterans Foundation. And according to his data, just by looking at claims, this is not hard factual data, it seems like the VA is more reluctant to award TDIU to younger veterans. Okay, that's not supposed to be the case. When it comes to P&T, absolutely not. Okay, tons of veterans, tons of millennials, let's just say. When I say millennials, I'm really talking about the OIF, OEF, OIR veterans. Tons of veterans have P&T that are 35 and younger. Okay. Another donation, guys. Thank you so much for this. I appreciate it. Timothy Turner says, I just got my discharge upgraded from other than honorable to honorable. Hey, good on you, dude. Good on you. That's awesome. The claims I got were only granted for treatment, but not for compensation. What do I need to do? Yeah, resubmit. Okay. Resubmit the claim. So for you specifically, I would go through a VSO, as that can be a little hairy. But what they're going to do is you're going to appeal the decision with your honorable discharge, and that'll pretty much be it. Okay. You're still going to have to prove service connection. That's still a thing. And so you're still going to need the in-service event, meaning service treatment records, a deployment, something happened in service to cause this disability. You're still going to need a current diagnosis. And so if your lower back hurt 3 years ago, you know, what's your diagnosis today? That's a current diagnosis. And then with those two, it's going to establish the Nexus, which is the third thing, which is the link between the disability and your military service. And so I would highly recommend you reach out to a VSO. They would be able to assist you on that. Or you can reach out to me, and I will walk you through that as best as I can. And the email is TheCivDiv@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. I do free one-on-one meetings. And that's it. Pretty much it. Okay, guys, that's the last question. It's been an hour and a half. Okay. Thank you so much for everyone that came to the stream. Remember, on June 1st, extremely important, June 1st, I want you to go to my YouTube, click my live tab. click the notify me button for Dr. Sharma's stream on June 1st. You're not going to want to miss that. We're also doing a giveaway. Nexus, I'm giving out a free Nexus letter for a mental health condition. And so if you have a mental health disability, or you have a mental health diagnosis, or you need one, or you have a disability connected to mental health, you're going to want to enter into this drawing. All right. How do you enter into the drawing? It's simple. Share my video on Facebook, Reddit, Instagram, whatever it is you want to share it on, share it. Take a screenshot of that, email it to me, and I'll go ahead and I'll put your name in the drawing. We'll do a random number generator, and then one person will be blessed enough to get a free independent medical opinion and a DBQ from Dr. Sharma, which is hands down one of the best psychiatrists you want writing your Nexus letter. Okay, I'll answer these last two questions, and then for real, I'm out. He says, if I'm 100% for leukemia, should I file for mental health now or wait for reduction? I'm assuming you're in treatment. One, that sucks. I'm very sorry to hear that. Okay. If you're in treatment, I would file now. Okay. The VA is not going to reduce your rating because you are in treatment. I'm assuming you are. But go ahead and file, and I wouldn't wait at all. And I'm sorry to hear that. I truly am. Optum called me to schedule CMP exam for a combined exam for migraines, hypertension, and GERD. What are your thoughts on this combined exam? That happens a lot, okay? It's no different than any other exam. They're just going to do multiple things at once. I would look at the 38 CFR for hypertension, migraines, and GERD. Understand the symptoms, understand what they're going to ask you, and articulate your symptoms in an open, honest, and vulnerable way, okay? That would be my number one advice. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks for Cash. You have a good one. Thank you very much. June 1st, live with Dr. Sharma. You don't want to miss it. And I'll end the stream with a outro video. It's deployment photos from fans of the show. If you want your photo featured, okay, send them to me. I'll throw it in here. I don't need context at all. I want to build this photo gallery I'm making. I think it's awesome. And, yep, I'll take a look at this, and I'll see y'all later.
Whiskey 9 Yankee 7 November Golf, over. Whiskey 9 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Negative Alpha Bravo. And this is 7 November Golf, Roger. Request you check your Romeo side. I'll go ahead and check my Tango side. 7 November Golf out. And 8 Class 7 November, say again. 7 November, go. I copied a while ago, 1 Charlie transmission that my thing used, and 8 5, this is 7 November, Charlie. Now 1 Charlie, 7 November, go.
This is 1 Charlie, reference to your last, you're Brandon 158, enter Foxtrot, 1200 between Queens and local. Also request your unit take inbound Nexus to see if we can try to get 59 and 8 for Pond to the playground.
And this is 7 November, Roger, stand by.
Got that.
Got it? Alright. And all units, this is 7 November Golf. My unit Alpha, Echo, X-ray Alpha Alpha in there.
One Charlie, Alpha Bravo.
Hey, I never took a dip. I forgot to take a dip.
Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Whiskey 9 Yankee 7 November Golf, over.
This is Whiskey 9 go.
Whiskey 9 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Whiskey 9 Yankee 7 November Golf, over.
This is Whiskey 9 go.
Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo.
Negative Alpha Bravo.
And this is 7 November Golf. Roger, request you check your Romeo side. I'll go ahead and check my Tango side. 7 November Golf out. And 8 Plow, 7 November, say again. 7 November, go.